Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of For Your Consideration. Hopefully, you're caught up with our past 2 episodes, lovely Armageddon and Mission Impossible. If not, now's your chance. Once again, your fearless host here, Mr. Chris. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, Ronaldo. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Just going well. Another week in paradise. So, smoke everywhere and nothing open. But
it's getting better.
It is getting better.
It's getting better.
Yes.
The sky's not blood orange. It doesn't look like it's Armageddon.
Yes. Good callback.
The smoke is clearing, so it's getting better. We'll see what happens the next couple of days, but everything's still closed for the most part.
Yeah. We had a lot of laughs this week. Our movie of choice this week, I'm very, very tickled with. And I'm looking forward to discussing this one.
I felt very uncomfortable for a lot of the movie, so I have a lot to talk about.
Let's get into it. Let's not waste much time. We stayed in the 90s and are keeping with the action theme, and went just a year later from Mission Impossible to our good friends John Travolta and Nicolas Cage with the 1997 John Woo classic, Face Off.
Face Off, 1997. Yep.
Yeah, I blown away by that, because actually it was the year that we started at the theater, and I think it probably came out the summer before the theater opened, so we maybe just missed it. But it feels like that movie's a lot older than it really is. I mean, I guess 97 is still 23 years old. Can't do math, but it feels older than that at some parts of the movie.
It did, yeah. 1997. What? I was 17. You were 16.
16.
Probably hadn't kissed a girl yet.
Oh, so, yeah.
1997. It came out, and it was just a year of action flicks, right?
Yeah.
I recall seeing this in the theater as well. At the Dome Theater, just like Mission Impossible. I saw it with a friend, and I went in not really knowing. I mean, probably saw a trailer, but I came out of the theater feeling pretty good. I thought it was a really good movie when I was 17, right? When I was 17, I thought it was a really good movie.
Fair.
So at 17, I enjoyed it. At what? How old am I now? 37?
40?
40?
Yeah.
It's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different story.
Being a father now, and 20 plus years later, yeah, it's a little different. And if we can get into it, there's some things that wouldn't fly. Even in a rated R film, I don't think So I will let you start.
Okay, let's get into it. Starts off. The score in it, just the first 5 minutes of the movie, it's gut-wrenching. It's really gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
You see Nicolas Cage come up, and he's got some kind of like a black cape thing going on.
He has too much fun with costumes in this. He has a weird mustache. He's drinking like a milkshake on, just having a grand old time walking around an amusement park with a rifle.
Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, it opens up, and it's, again, John Woo. It's all slow motion. It's all very artsy. And right off the bat, within the first 3 minutes, right, you get this scene where John Travolta is on the carousel with this child, and then the bullet hits him in the back and goes through him, and it hits his kid, and that's how we start. So it's kind of like, okay, here we go. It gets you right away. So for that, I thought the beginning was pretty good, how it was done.
Yeah, it's a good way to quickly show that these guys are giant adversaries. A lot of times you have to build up to that and show, all this trauma and, heartbreak and this relationship. And you just like, you got Nick Cage, shoots the guy, kills his son, boom.
And yeah,
the movie's off and running. And then you get Nick Cage pretending to be a priest.
Okay, so just Nick Cage, I like him. I do. he can play these really crazy, wacky characters. He's got that range where he can be psychotic and it's kind of funny and cool. But this movie, I thought it just went a little too far. I don't know, maybe just being older now. I thought it was so over the top. Me now, right? Again, at 17, I thought it was great. And then when he's dressed like a priest and he goes to the church choir and he gets behind that church girl, I just thought, oh, like almost like I couldn't even watch it. I just didn't sit well with me.
It's cringeworthy. That scene is so awkward. That's one of those first, like, I have a counter of like, these wouldn't fly these days in movies, priests and underage children. And that's my first notice. Cage is so over the top in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, before you even get into the rest of the movie, you're 10 minutes in, not even 10 minutes in, and you're just like, wow, this is going to be one of those Cage-worthy performances. Like, I don't know what else to call it. It's like toned down in certain movies, but this is like cranked up to 12, and that's a very cringe-worthy moment that I marked.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. And then you get the full action sequence on the runway.
Before you get to the action sequence itself, I still say this line because it's so funny and so awkward, and just continues to point to how Cage is in this movie. But if I were to buy you flowers, would you? And then he stops. He said, no. If I were to let you suck my tongue.
Yeah, I hated that.
The worst line.
I hated it.
But the emphasis on how he does it is just like, oh my God. And just before that, he delivers the line, I can eat a peach for hours, which I love. I know you can eat a peach for hours. So.
I can't. I'll finish a peach off in 2 minutes, and that's it.
I cut my peaches up anyway.
But I have that tongue scene right here. It just sucks. I didn't like it. It's just, I don't know. It didn't work for me anymore. It doesn't work for me. It just seems just too over the top for me, and I didn't like it. The whole peach for hours. I did appreciate the way it was filmed. Once he comes up and his like coattails start flapping in the wind, and he's got his guns. I thought that was kind of cool, right?
Very stylized, yeah.
Again, that's John Woo's style, right? Mm-hmm. Going back to Mission Impossible 2. And then you get the full blown out playing chicken on the runway with Sean Archer, John Travolta.
His partner, the way he calls that, don't you play chicken with it? Like, it's just so like.
Right. Yeah. And then all of a sudden something happens, and you see Sean Archer get in a helicopter, and he starts flying it.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime cars are chasing planes that are on runways, and then somehow they don't stop it, but then they still have time to get in a helicopter and then still stop the plane before it takes off. Longest runway ever. I don't know if they were actually in LA, because that plane would have taken off at some point. Fun facts. Do you know who the original scripts went to, who they wanted initially?
Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. I just thought of
Point Break.
Yeah, I just thought of Point Break. That's a good movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah, we probably have to watch it again. It's probably really, really bad. But it was Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
No problemo.
Which would have been so awkward and so weird. And I mean, just on the sheer fact that I think they're like 6 inches or 8 inches difference. Like, Stallone is short. Like, and Arnold's not. So that would have been like, this doesn't make any sense. But
because of
the classic gun flip, coattails is totally a John Woo thing. What was he had Travolta in the movie before this, Broken Arrow with Christian Slater.
Great knowledge, because I was actually going to touch on that. I actually really liked Broken Arrow.
You liked?
I still like it. If I rewatch it again, probably a different story. But it's Christian Slater, right? Who's better than Christian Slater?
Nicolas Cage.
Broken Arrow is good, people. Watch Broken Arrow. And it's funny that you mentioned Broken Arrow because Broken Arrow was the first movie that I can recall where John Travolta was the villain.
Mm.
And I can't recall any other movie. He was always the good guy, the fun guy,
Yeah.
the cool guy, but he was never the villain that I can recall.
Sure.
And upon watching that, he played it so well, really well, that I was like, whoa, this guy can play a villain. And so it happens, he starts playing villains in more of his movies, or playing kind of off-the-wall characters like Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, who's not really a bad guy, but he's not really a good guy either, you know?
That remake of Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3. He's a bad guy against Denzel, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does play a good bad guy.
Right. And then just one last thing. When they're in the hangar, right before Sean Archer, John Travolta presses that button and sends Nick Cage flying. Okay? I don't know if you caught it, but I caught this twice. You see the henchmen and some of the cops with cable wires on the back. So when they're falling back, you can totally see the wires. And that just kind of, I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
I actually didn't catch that. That's good.
I caught it.
I was more laughing that, I don't know if he shoots him or what, but he like spins around and like hits the machine on like to start it up. Like he falls against the machine to start it up. And it's just so, I noticed that more than anything because it was such an awkward, like, oh, I fell into something. Like, what was that? Like, oh my God, like no normal person would fall into that. And, but I got to figure out a way to start the button. So here you go.
Yeah.
You have to suspend belief to watch this movie because there's a lot of like, what? Come on. Like,
yeah, I agree.
No, just not happening. I like still to this day the concept behind the face swap and the technology and how they used it and how they did it. Whether it's not well written for how they talk him into it's like, what? No, I'm not doing this. Oh, it's the only way. Okay, here we go. Let me lie to my wife and not tell her I'm doing this for whatever reason. Like, why couldn't your wife know this? Like, she wouldn't.
Maybe because
with it.
Because he figured if she knew anything about it, they would get to her.
I don't know. But I like the technology. I liked that scene. It's actually kind of gross, like in a cool way, like they show just enough of it, like just enough of like the face is coming off and you see like
it is called face off.
I mean, yeah. Another fun fact, John Woo fought with the studio to keep that slash between face and off because he was afraid that if the slash wasn't there, people would think it was a hockey movie.
I mean, you hear face off and you think hockey.
John Woo was not wrong.
He wasn't, so good. Kudos to you, John.
Kudos
Woo.
to you, Woo.
So still mad for Mission Impossible 2, but
yeah.
So before we get to the whole transformation scene, face-off scene, he goes home and you start seeing. Well, I guess in the beginning you start seeing the whole face, the whole hand swipe.
Oh yeah.
Right. I don't know about you, but I took tally or how many hand swipes there were in the movie.
Now are we just talking the awkward like hand across the face or the fist?
No, I'm talking about the moment where he just runs it down his face and everything's all good, which I think is really unsanitary, right? It's really unsanitary. For one.
Back in the day, you could just touch people's faces and it didn't matter.
No, you shouldn't. It's bad. And I'll tell you why I don't like it. First of all, because it's gross. Second of all, I don't like my face being touched because my face gets oily. And if you touch my nose at a certain point with your fingers, I start to break out. And that sucks.
Ew.
Right? But I counted. I counted a total of 10 face swipes.
Are we all?
10.
Yeah. Sounds about right. He's very awkward with it too.
Yeah. I just thought it was like, dude, we get it, right? It's like, how many times do you need to remind me that the hand swipe is something meaningful? Is way too much for me. Way too much.
I don't know. It's like one of those things that if you were to dig deep to the screenwriters, they probably like, one of their parents did that to them. And so they just, wrote it into the movie. But there's a lot of face touching, and in COVID right now, I'm like, don't touch your face. Just
Right.
stop.
It just doesn't. I don't know.
when
I mean,
when Nick Cage wakes up, or when it's when Sean is Caster and vice versa, that he takes the drugs, and Nick Cage is looking awkwardly up at the camera and just does this and says face off like 4 times. It was just like, this is the name of the movie. This is the name of the movie. You're not going to forget this movie. And it just wouldn't stop. And it was like, it works because he's on drugs, and you can believe that people say stupid shit when they're on drugs, but
absolutely.
It was a lot. There's a lot of face touching.
All right, where do you want to go from here? Let's go to the face off, taking the face off. So, like I said, I watched the movie with Brooke. She's in the medical field, right? And I go, all right. I pause. I'm like, all right. I want to know what your take on this is. I know it's not real. I know, but I want to know what your take on this. And she starts laughing, right? She goes, that could never happen. She said, and I'm reading my notes here, the face would get infected so quick because your skin acts like a barrier pretty much.
Right.
There's no scars at all whatsoever. So this surgery was done to the T perfect.
Right.
But she said because the story was pretty good, she could suspend belief. But I could tell from someone being in the medical field, she chuckled at that scene.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Of course. Yeah, it's preposterous, and I think that it works again if you kind of suspend belief that anything involving any scientific bullets bending around walls and people jumping and not breaking anything and people,
right,
living through a jet engine,
I liked it. I liked the scene. I thought it was doing pretty cool. I really liked the quick cuts that when Nicolas Cage is clapping, right, and you see his face, it's all without a skin for like a second, and it goes back to the doctor. I thought that was pretty cool. It kind of looked like a horror film for about maybe 5 minutes.
Where it doesn't sound like he has lips. He's talking like this, like he's grating through his teeth, like clever. Like I like it. The scene works for me, and I'm not in the medical field, so I obviously am not picking apart how crazy it is that can't be done. It's more just like, at that point in time, unless people were wearing masks, like you didn't really think that was like, I don't know. Just that's why I think the movie got so much acclaim. Like it was kind of clever at the time. Like it was it's not amazing, but the concept, like if you were to rewrite that, like it could be a really good action flick. Like just you have these 2 bombastic actors who are so over the top in this movie that it becomes a cult classic, and now is kind of awkwardly dated. Even the action, I'm like, meh, the plane crashing into the hangar, that's cool, spent a lot of money there. Boat chases we'll get to, but
but it was the first movie that I can remember where you have a bad guy and a good guy, 2 great actors, right? And you hate one actor, but then you end up loving him because he plays a whole different role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you have your movies where like people switch bodies, and like what's a good, like Freaky Friday, or like Father Like Son, something like that. But this was the first movie where it was pretty hardcore. So for that, I really liked it. I liked that part that you got to root one time for this guy, and then you ended up rooting for this guy for another guy, but then everything went back to normal. So it was kind of neat. It played with that concept. I appreciated that. So that was good.
Question, who do you think did the other better?
I really like how Nicolas Cage portrayed Sean Archer, because it's easy. For me, I think it would be easier to play kind of a kooky guy. We've seen John Travolta do it already, but Nick Cage had to tone it down. So I appreciated the way that he toned it down to be Sean Archer. There was one scene where he was telling the wife the story about the dentist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. You go from, in the first half of the movie, he's this awful guy, but then he switches roles to like, dang, this guy's really caring.
Yeah, they both do. Actually, they both do that. I think at some point, Travolta has that moment where I noted this down. Our loving pothead from that '70s show gets his ass kicked,
I have that in my
bringing the daughter home.
Yeah.
But here you've got Nick Cage, who was just groping underage girls at the beginning of the movie. Now he's all of a sudden this protector of his not daughter.
Right.
Because this guy is being a sleazeball.
What'd you think about when John Travolta visits Nick Cage in the jail for the first time? When Nick Cage gets the information, he feels like he's about to be let out of the prison, and all of a sudden you got a visitor. Here you go. It's Sean Archer, or John Travolta as the bad guy.
Travolta at his best. I love Travolta. Cage,
Okay.
good as caster. He's horrible as Travolta, in my opinion.
Huh. Okay. All right. I appreciate it the way he toned it down. I rooted for Nick Cage to the very end.
Yeah. See, now, I mean, obviously, yeah, you're rooting for him because he's the good guy, but I'm more like, I don't like his portrayal of John Travolta's character. But
Okay.
I
And
guess
it's
in
funny
essence,
because I
they're
think
not.
John Travolta was over the top, just like Nick Cage, which Nick Cage annoyed me. So then John Travolta followed suit, did the same thing, and I was like, ugh. Every time I'm like, wee, woo, woo, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, dude, we get it.
I love John Travolta so much more in this movie than I do Nick Cage, unless Nick Cage is playing caster at the very beginning, because that's classic. I love his little goodies box that he gets multiple times that has chiclets and joints and prescription drugs and gold and glasses and just weird shit. But yeah, I like that character, the Castor Troy character, which weird names, Castor and his brother Pollux.
Pollux.
Just odd names, but I dig their characters very much.
Okay. All right.
You're up next. What notes you got?
Going to the shootout at the bad guy's place.
Yes.
The bad guy's place. So before we get to the shootout, Sasha, Gina,
Rashawn.
Rashawn. Okay, yeah.
Rashawn.
So, from my understanding, she is the sister of this bald-headed guy.
Yeah.
Okay. I recall a scene where she kissed her brother. She kissed him.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just a kiss. I mean, it was a kiss.
Yeah.
That was confirmed again when I watched it last night. So, is there some kind of a weird, gross thing going on there?
Disgusting.
Yes. I have no idea. Honestly,
Because
when I saw it, I had to turn to my wife and say, they're brother and sister, right? Like, did I miss that?
no, they are brother and sister.
Yes, 100%. And
So
there's no explanation. It just,
when she kisses him, that's not just like a peck. That's like full on. That's a kiss.
yeah, like he grabs her and pulls her back. Was it like, I'm dying, so whatever? Like, man, why was she like, okay? It's a very awkward, yeah, it's just another one of those scenes where you're like, what? Like, if I was watching, I'd be like, this is me, at the Paramount Studios, as the producer of the film, going, hold on, stop. That's brother and sister. What is this? This isn't Star Wars where they didn't know, and even then, you knew, Lucas, but why are they kissing? Why
George,
is that?
You knew, George.
You knew, George. You knew the whole time, dirty bastard. So yeah, definitely a note I had, and I was trying to rack my brain, like, was I not paying attention in the first half of the film? Because I don't understand what that dynamic is and why that would happen. But
right, I saw that and I remembered it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's true. This is weird. So all right, let's just move on. The whole over the rainbow song in the background as the cops are shooting the place up, and you see the little boy, Adam, right, or Castor Troy's son. You see him with his headphones on, and I don't know if you got a shot of the incredible teardrop that he had, but it just looks so fake. Like I get it, I understand, but there was no emotion from him, and it looked like the teardrop was painted on. It bugged me so much, and then I don't know, I didn't care for it.
This
Then
is
you
back
get to-
before they really cared about child actors being anything other than just a child in the movie, because
or a prop. I guess. I don't know.
exactly, he was a prop. He was
Yeah.
there to create suspense around, you know, people being shot at, because this movie is nothing but people being shot at with double guns and somersaults and pirouettes to shoot
Oh,
people.
very artsy.
Like, yeah, jumping off boxes, you know, while you're firing a weapon. I don't know. I've been to a firing range once. They didn't let me jump off any boxes and shoot anything. But, you know, high stakes, I guess, high stakes. Cage does that awkward somersault to the kid. The kid's like standing in the middle of this glass floor that's in the middle of an apartment, but Cage does a
It's a big
somersault.
apartment.
And it was a slow somersault, because in slow-mo, it looked worse than what I could do right now as a somersault as a 40-year-old man, and 39 actually.
Damn you.
And it was so bad. I don't know. Again, that's probably why they had so many stuntmen, is because Travolta and Cage could only do these half-ass somersaults and spins while they shot things, and so bad.
Let's just move along. Sean, oh, not Sean. Yeah, Sean, who is Nick Cage, finally visits Eve, his wife, and tells him everything that's going on. And I'm thinking, man, if I was his wife, I would be just a mess, right? Like, it would be such a hard pill to swallow to hear that, right? And then he tells her the story of the dentist, which I thought that was a really sweet scene. It was your animal cracker scene from Armageddon. Shout out to Armageddon again. I liked it. I really did. I thought it was sweet. I thought it was cute. And he tells the story about how the dentist fixed the wrong tooth, which, by the way, you could probably sue a dentist for fixing the wrong tooth.
I would think so.
Right? And so he fixes the wrong tooth, and he goes, you know, even though it might have hurt really bad, she still kissed me. Right?
That's a good Nick Cage. That's a good Nick Cage. I like it.
Thanks. I got my Owen Wilson and my Nick Cage down. Wow.
Excellent, Cage.
Yeah.
I may have to choose another Nicolas Cage movie just so we can hear more impressions.
Fantastic. Lined up.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah. Look, these are, in my opinion, good actors. Good actors at the time. Cage has gotten a little, lately, and I don't even know if Travolta's doing movies anymore, really. But yeah, at the time, they're good actors and they know what they're doing, and that was a good scene. One of the few, as you know, Nick Cage plays that character that I thought, okay, that's fine. It's a real scene. You know, you need, I think, something sweet and grounding between all the like larger than life shootouts. I mean, it's just gunfight after gunfight after gunfight.
You're exactly right. Shootouts. Very artistic shootouts. You're absolutely right.
Lots of side characters dying and nobody in the main cast really being hurt from anything. What other notes you got?
I'm ready to go to the finale, starting with the funeral. With the whole funeral and the whole, I have on my notes, I have written doves, 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 doves.
And seagulls. He as he's walking up, seagulls too. I forgot about the seagulls.
Okay, props to the seagulls. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I'm heading to, and it's a really. I thought the scene was cool. You have the chanting in the background. The funeral for his lieutenant,
boss.
his boss, right? And everybody leaves. and then you got all the doves coming into the church and outside the church, and it's just slow motion doves. It's just doves. It looked like an Alfred Hitchcock
What
movie.
what church would just let doves just hanging out in the church?
I don't know, but it was a really cool church by a beach. So
Yeah, apparently
like
they had
that.
speedboats just
Yeah,
hanging out.
right. Anyway, we'll get to that in like 5 minutes. So you get to the shootout, right? And then it's just you got like 4 people, and you got Eve, his wife, in the middle, right? And it's almost like, damn, here we go, right? I liked it. I liked that scene. I thought it was done well. Surprisingly, I didn't mind the doves in this movie. Again,
They're subtle.
Yeah, well, subtle, but they're there. They're white. Well, they're white. How's that?
They're subtle in the sense that they're in the back of the church, and they
Yeah,
John Travolta walking in and does his Jesus impersonation, and they're not overt.
but yeah, the shootout starts, and everybody's in it, and it starts, and people start firing, and then you get his daughter coming in, right? And she takes the knife, and she has no idea who she's supposed to shoot out. His voice starts changing into the real Sean Archer, so she shoots Nick Cage, who is Sean Archer. This is probably really confusing for everybody who's listening. And then she takes the knife, and then she drives it into her fake dad, Sean Archer, who is really Nick Cage, and she twists it, right? Am I making sense?
And giving the play-by-play, I think you even confused me, and I've seen this movie probably a dozen times.
Yeah, it's
She's also not very good in this movie, and they don't give her much to work with. But she's like, one, you hear all this gunfire. Are you really gonna run in to the room and be like, "Mom"? Like, wait, what? Like, that's one. Two, like when her mom's holding her before the whole actually I guess it's after she stabs him and runs away. She's like, someone gonna tell me what planet I'm on? Like, it was just such a bad line and a poor delivery that was like, did you what? Why cut that? Like, just that's like one of those, just edit that out. Not even necessary.
I agree with you. I think she is. I didn't like her at all. I think she delivered the worst line in the movie, which was towards the end. She said, "Dad, I'm sorry for shooting you." And
Dad?
I'm
sorry I shot you.
Really bad. That's worse than your boyfriend's back, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
I hated that
because
that line.
She did it with such insincerity, that it was like, again, unnecessary.
And then you got the boat chase scene. Here we go. Which to me, I don't know about you, man, but I thought it was ridiculous.
I love a good boat chase, though. I like boat chases.
You like boat chases? Okay.
Indiana Jones.
That was a good boat chase scene because it wasn't the finale, but he chose to use the boat scenes as the finale. And this is where it really took me out, especially this time watching it, because you see the actual stunt doubles. You see their full-on face.
Coming at the camera.
Yeah, coming at the camera. It's almost like whoever edited the video, did you not see that? Or did John Woo not see that and just not care? Or did they not have enough time to fix that? But it takes you out of the movie.
I wonder if, when you're assuming, first go around, you watch this film, you don't catch that stuff, you're not looking for it. And so maybe the more you watch something, you look for more of these things, but it's glaring in this. It's pretty bad. It's like one of those editing things where you're like, all they had to do was simple makeup, you put a bald cap on the guy who's playing Nick Cage and give him the right hairline and it looks close enough. Yeah. That's all it takes, But yeah, all the boat scene, you're right. You can tell until they do the close-ups, which you can tell they're not even on the boat. Like, it's like a water wall spraying behind to show you that he's it's bad. But I like the boat chase. I mean, I like the boat chase other than again, suspend the belief. You got the the port police coming at him with a full like 7 people, and he just speeding the boat along, just takes the gun and just shoots them all. Just get again, physics, not really.
Out the door.
But yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
hit
he
every
ram
one
the
of them.
ship?
Yeah,
Doesn't he ram the ship and he like jumps through there like in the fire?
yeah, he rams whoever, Nick Cage, into
Yeah.
the boat, and then the boat goes through that. Yes.
Yeah. And then I got on my notes, water skiing without skis. With when Nick Cage goes over the side of the boat, he hangs onto a chain and he starts skiing. Listen, I love a good action flick. Don't get me wrong, I love a good action flick. I don't know what it is about this, man. I don't know if because I'm getting older and I'm grumpier or what, but I just could not get into it. I could not get into it.
By that time, there's so many other scenes that are so much better than that, that you kind of wonder why that was even really necessary. You know, why couldn't the grand finale be the shootout? Like, there's enough drama around that. You know, like you said, the wife is at stake there. Nick Cage's girlfriend or baby mama or whatever she is at that point, you know, she's
Right.
part of it. There's enough suspense around that. The daughter shows up that you didn't even need the boat chase. So I mean, to that point, yeah, it's completely unnecessary. Other than we want to crash a couple boats and we want to show stuntmen who don't look like our lead actors flying through the sky with a flame behind them. I mean, and we slow mo it so you can really tell that it's not the right actors. You're like, wait, what? Cool on you for really doing a stunt. And God, I hope the stuntmen are okay and got a lot of money for this. But completely unnecessary. It's another 10 minutes of the movie that you're just like, you're probably done at this point. Like, you don't need any more. But
No, I didn't need any more.
You almost want the plane scene, which they shot in one take because it's a plane they crashed. They can't afford to crash more than one plane. 13 different cameras filmed that scene. That's like the finale. Like that almost like you get that in the beginning of the movie, and so it amps you up and gets you going. But that's almost like you shot your wad in the beginning of the film, and now what are you going to do for a finale? I guess we'll do both.
The finale. What now? He gets his man, right? And everything's good now. And John Travolta. Go ahead.
I'd say they magically find doctors who can reverse this.
From DC, the top best specialist from DC, according to the mother from The Notebook. Which
always, yeah.
Yeah. And so he gets his face back, and he's back at home, and you see his shadow coming through the window, walking up to the door, and you hear like the soft music in the background.
And it was hazy AF. It looked like how it's been in California with all the fires.
Yeah.
Like, why is it so cloudy outside? You could literally see like the fog machine, like blowing the fog up behind him. Like, is this a dream sequence? Did he actually not make it home?
Yeah, it's John Woo, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when we get the line, right? When he hugs his wife and his daughter goes, "Dad, I'm sorry I shot you." And then he goes, "I got one more final surprise for you guys." Right? One more surprise.
And Nick Cage walks in.
Wow, that would be great. And he brings Adam, Castor Troy's son. And that was kind of it. That was a touching moment. That was kind of cool.
It's a good script writing. Like, yes, like it fits. You know, they lost a son. He thought the kid looked like his son because bowl cut. You know,
yeah,
yes, he did. Neither of them had a line. Yeah, it's cute. But then the daughter does the effing face touch thing. She's like, "Hey, kid, I've never met. Swipe your face. Come, let me show you your room." I would have been like, "What the fuck is this place? Like, what is that?"
Yeah, that was my 10th face swipe I counted. There's probably more. Probably missed. Yeah, I was still counting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's a family thing. I don't know. I just know if my dad did that to me, I'd be like, Yeah, don't do that. It's gross. Go wash your hands.
I almost want to
you don't-
start doing it to people. Like it's like Demolition Man and Be Well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
Well, that takes us to the end of it. We have literally talked our faces off. Figuratively, I guess. Not
Very good.
My face is
Very
still
good, sir.
there. Thank you. That brings us to our ratings. As you know, here at For Your Consideration, we like to do a 1 to 5 scale based on something remarkable from the film that we watched. I think we've done Asteroids for Armageddon. We did, was it Masks?
No,
Or-
we did Emilio's.
Emilio's for Mission
We did
Impossible.
Emilio's.
The Emilio's.
Yeah,
There's only one Mission Impossible, but we gave it many more than one Emilio's.
that's right.
What shall we do this week for Face Off? How many face-offs? How many faces? How many peaches?
Let's just do
Yeah.
Peaches.
Yeah, peaches
Okay.
it is.
Peaches it is. On a scale from 1 to 5, we are going to do Peaches. Good sir, I'm going to let you go first this time.
I'm gonna go with 3.5 peaches. And the other half it's a pit. It's a good half. So I still enjoy this film. I laugh more at it more than anything now, and the lines are just incredulous, and I love that about it. It's one of those I definitely tune out. Like I forgot about the dentist scene, and I think by that time you start to not get bored with it, but you're like okay, like come on, like again they hype you up so much in the beginning that it starts to drag a little bit at the end, and you're completely right. The boat scene is just not necessary. So 3.5, solid.
3.5. Wow. Okay. This is going to be the first movie where you actually give it more higher rating than I do.
I'm shocked.
You said you laugh more while watching this movie. So the more I watch this movie, the more I cringe. I do.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it's because I'm older. I'm not 17 anymore. But just, seeing things that just really kind of disturbing. Now, I think the acting's pretty good. I like both Nick Cage and John Travolta. I could suspend belief. I thought, why not? Very cool. But the whole, seeing everybody's face, the stunt doubles' faces, the wires, the cable wires, the overacting. I'm going to give it 3 peaches because it's a popcorn flick, right? So I can't give it 2 because it kept my interest.
Sure.
So I liked it. I suggest people watch it if you haven't seen it. It is a bit over the top. It's a good action flick. It's a late 90s action flick.
Totally.
So watch it. It's good. Great acting. You root for the bad guy one time, and then you start rooting for the bad guy again, even though he's good. So it's fun. It's a fun movie.
It's fun. If you can get past the awkward cringe moments, it's fun, and it has 2 actors just having a blast doing
right.
it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and they look like they were having fun. So for me, I'm giving it 3 ripe peaches.
3 red peaches. I'll give it 3.5. So that's not that far off. I was expecting after all that, I was expecting you to come in strong with a 2 or something. So we're not too far off. I'm waiting for the film that's going to really be divisive for us, that is going to separate us, like 1 and 5, and just be Mystery Men, maybe even.
Oh man, maybe we'll do Mystery Men down the road.
Someday. I don't think anybody knows about that movie anymore. I don't think anyone ever paid attention to it. I don't think that we might have been the only 2 people who saw it, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
We haven't decided what's next on the docket, so we'll have to keep that a surprise and maybe throw it out there and in a poll and ask our fans what they want us to cover next. I'm not opposed to covering any genre. It just happens that we've thrown out a few classic action movies because why not start there? They're fun to rewatch, and you said they're popcorn. They bring you back to when you were a teenager going to the theater. So
right.
We'll surprise you with what is next. That's for sure.
I can't wait to watch it.
Been a blast as always, Mr. Ronaldo. I'm
Yes,
your
sir.
host, Chris, and this has been For Your Consideration Film Review for Face Off. Talk to you guys all soon.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.